Welcome to a Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm going to add a number 3 video, actually the number 8 story, because there's a bunch of them I'm skipping over for good reason, in my James Blish series. We are Telltale Books, bringing you the best in literature, literary topics, and graphic design and bookmaking.
If you want to support us, you can find us on Etsy and Pango, where you can find gently used, rare, and even top quality used books.
And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and maybe even that bell to be notified when new videos go live.
Thanks for joining us.
This is Blish's 8th published work and was published professionally, not in a fanzine, in Super Science Stories in May 1940. The title, Bequest of the Angel. Bequest of the Angel is just a short story, but a longish short story. Blish, of course, is probably best known for his Star Trek novelizations and for his science fiction criticism, writing some books about the genre of science fiction. One of these days I'll have to do more of an actual Blish biography, but for now, that's good enough. This is a very early short story, early in his career, one of his earliest professional sales. And while Super Science Stories was not astounding, it was not one of the very best of the magazines back then. It was mostly publishing space opera type stories, very much in the vein of what had been published throughout the 1930s. So this isn't your John Campbell thought variant golden age type story, even though this is May 1940. This is feeling a lot more like what you might have gotten from R.F. Starzl or Edmund Hamilton or Harold Vincent, or when Campbell took over and changed Astounding and started the golden age of science fiction. A lot of authors did continue to write the 1930s style space opera adventure stories, including some of them that were publishing with Campbell in Astounding. They were putting adventure stories in the other magazines because they enjoyed these stories and they wanted to keep doing these stories, and so they did. And you had plenty of markets for it. Astounding was pretty much the only one publishing the real golden age stuff. Amazing, Thrilling Wonder, Startling Planet, Super Science Stories, Astonishing Stories. Trying to remember, there were a couple others that had appeared in the late 30s, early 40s. Science fiction and future science fiction that were publishing mostly science fiction adventures, space opera. They weren't publishing the sorts of things that Campbell was. And that's where all the old authors fled to when they couldn't get into Astounding anymore. But you also had a lot of young authors publishing there, because anything that was being rejected by Campbell, they could get published in these other magazines pretty easily. So Bequest of the Angel, what's it about? Major Allison and Owen, I believe John Owen, if I remember right, they're talking about the arrival of a guy named Kovansky. Owen doesn't care for Allison, but works for him as part of the interplanetary patrol, of kind of an R.F. Starzl style concept. And Allison doesn't like Kovansky because Kovansky is known to be tied up with somebody named Sanderson, who is also tied into the Martian Nationalist Party, which is a group of people, humans, but they live on Mars and they want to separate from Earth. They want independence. They want to start a revolt. And all these people are tied in with a guy called the Angel, the last name of Kohler. And the Angel is a space pirate, goes around raiding legitimate freighter ships and such and stealing what he can. And so he's kind of running the show here to disrupt things around the solar system and try to start a revolt here. Sanderson has been captured, actually, and apparently the other people in this Martian Nationalist Party don't really know what Sanderson looks like, because Owen goes and acts like he is Sanderson, and he joins in with these people in order to keep track of them. As a very early work, this is okay. It's kind of fun. It's got some interesting politics going on, but it's 1930s style pulp adventure. Okay, so the characterization, it's actually good for that time period and that type of fiction, and someone who's a fresh author just coming out of the fandom. That's a lot of conditions on it, and as far as a professional work of writing, the characterization is kind of lacking. It is kind of simple. And the story is kind of simple. For a science fiction story, usually you have a lot of really cool scientific things going on. Even in a spy story like this, you still have the plot hinging on some kind of technological advancement or scientific situation, an astronomical situation, or the invention of some kind of cool weapon or something. There's nothing like that here. All of the science fiction of this story is just background decoration. It's really just a political thriller, except for the fact that they're going around the solar system. I wouldn't say there's any science here. And so this could easily have been written as a non-science fiction story. But that's kind of typical of space opera, that a lot of times if you take the science fictional decorations out of it, you end up with a Western or something. So not a lot of science fictional imagination to this. Very, very much lacking in that area. And the plot is okay, but there's a lot of things that I wish we knew more about. It doesn't get very deep into what the Martians really want to achieve. It doesn't get very detailed into the Angels' plan for achieving it. It doesn't really even get into their motivation for revolting. I mean, what don't they like? What are they standing against? It doesn't say. So there's a lot of things that could have been added to this story that would have made it a better story. Which leaves me where it's not even one of the better examples of 1930s space opera adventure. I would sooner read something by R.F. Starzl or Indo Binder, Edmund Hamilton, early works of John Campbell. People like that, I think, did a better job with this sort of thing than what Blish is doing here. So far from a strong effort by Blish, I don't think I would even recommend this to the Blish faithful, people who love surface tension or cities in flight or a case of conscience. This is not going to show you what Blish can ultimately really do when he gets his professional career going. So have you ever read Bequest of the Angel by James Blish? If so, let's hear your comments. Let's see what you think about it. I want to hear it. Put it in the comment section of the video. And the next James Blish story, number 9 on his bibliography, so I think from here on out I can stop skipping, it's titled Citadel of Thought, and that was actually published about a year later, a year after Bequest of the Angel. So we'll see how well Blish improves over that year in this upcoming story. Not sure when I'll get to that. I've been kind of stalling these writers like James Blish, Isaac Asimov and stuff because I want to get through the magazines and try and get caught up in the magazines up to where we are. I've got quite a lot of magazines to read before May 1940. So I'll probably get to it before I get to the magazine order, but I am going to go slowly now on the authors to try and catch up to them. So I hope you'll come back and join me for those when they appear, and join me for all the magazine ones that I talk about and all the other authors I'm talking about, Francis Stevens, Homer Eon Flint that I'm doing right now, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you'll be seeing me doing them.